Good afternoon. You are most welcome to today's district assembly. Please be informed that we have the same session streaming live on YouTube. For in case some of your colleagues are not able to join in on Zoom, perhaps they can join in on YouTube. Let's give it a few more minutes to allow our friends join. But in the meanwhile, please call, text, and remind your club members to log in so that we may continue with this program. Thank you. Good afternoon, friends. Once again, you're most welcome, and thank you for making time to join in for the district assembly today as we prepare to be in Barara and as we plan to change leadership, not only in our clubs but as well as the district in overall. My name is Vivian Katsabe. I am the current district secretary and I am a member of the Rotaract Club of Tankil City. We are co-sponsored by the Rotary Clubs of Muyenga Tankil and Kampala City. And I am going to be your host this afternoon, just to run you through the agenda and what you should expect to hear from this discussion. Of course, it will be pretty participatory. You'll have a chance for everybody online. You'll have a chance to comment or share your views on the different items that are being discussed. Well, we shall be hearing about the district goals for the next Rotary year, that is 2023-2024. We shall also have a reading of the audited books of accounts of the 2021-2022. That was in the past leadership when our PDR Noah was the DRR. And then we shall be forecasting into the future. What are the projections that we hope to spend as per the budget of the next Rotary year, 2023-2024? And then, of course, we shall have the current PIME team and the Treasury docket share reports of overall performance from the beginning of the Rotary year up until now. And then we shall also hear about the resolutions that you sent us from the different clubs. And then, of course, communally, we shall agree on whether to adopt those suggestions or not to adopt them. But first, let's have an opening prayer said by Jumba Anthony. I think he's not there. Ambition, if you could just unmute and give us the grace.
Thank you, Vivienne. For what we have and what we are about to receive, may we be truly and full of the name.
Amen. Thank you. The lawyer toast by Rotaract Aleba Kanyonza.
Good afternoon to you all. Let's toast to the good health of the President of the Republic of Uganda.
To His Excellency, the President of our countries. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Aleba. Then the forward test by Rotaract Darius.
Thank you, Secretary. The forward test, let's recite it together from wherever you are. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second,
is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Darius. And lastly, the goals of Rotaract by Rotaractor Joyce Joseph.
Good afternoon. So the goals of Rotaract: to develop leadership and professional skills, to emphasize on respect for rights and others and promote ethical standards and dignity of all useful occupation, to promote opportunities for young people to address the needs and concern of the community in our world, to provide opportunities for working in cooperation with sponsoring Rotary Club. And the last one is to motivate young people to eventual membership in Rotary.
Sorry, pardon me. Thank you so much, Rotaract Joyce Joseph. And once again, thank you all for those that have been able to join today's district assembly. When we started off this Rotary year, we had, as a district, we had a couple of goals that we had hoped to achieve throughout this Rotary year. And these goals were clearly communicated to clubs through, of course, the presidents, and emails were sent, and this information was broken down into clubs to ensure that by the time of the district conference in Barra end of this month, we're able to have assessed performance of the different clubs, and then we are awarding people. Well, just to rephrase our memories, in terms of the Rotary image as a district, we had set out to achieve at least 90%, to have 90% of the clubs complying with the Rotary branding guidelines. We shall hear from the PIME chair later on. He'll comment on how clubs have performed so far in terms of this. And we had hoped to encourage Rotaract publicity through media, to have at least 3, each club having at least 3 social media platforms, and with a minimum of 2 mainstream platforms being utilized by clubs. And in terms of membership extension as a district, then we had hoped to have a net increase of 30%. That is at least 10 Rotaractors per club by March 2023. Again, we shall hear from the PIME on what we have been able to achieve so far. Then we set up a target of having at least 10 new Rotaract clubs chartered, or rather formed, by March 2023. We had also set out a target of inviting at least members from the informal sector and community, especially the students, to have to constitute at least 20% of the overall Rotaractors in our district. We set a target of having at least 30 Rotaractors transition into Rotary by March 2023. Well, this is already mid-April. We shall hear the statistics. And still, in terms of membership extension, we had set out a target of having special recognitions to a net increase of 15 members, and that accounts for about 90% retention of the overall members in our district. In terms of professional development and professional mentorship, as a district then, we had hoped to create a database of Rotaractors' professional abilities and personal interests by December 2022. We also set out a goal of sourcing for internship and graduate paid internships for at least 50. That includes, of course, to harmonize RILA. That this was then supposed to be executed by the RILA team. And we had also hoped to encourage professional regional trainings. That then the goal was to have each zone at least organize one in-house training by end of December last year. And still in line with PLD, we had hoped to organize 2 PLD trainings per quarter. Excuse me. In terms of service projects as a district, then our goal was to encourage joint projects of at least 2 with any of the following categories. That is a partnership between Rotaract, partnership between Rotaract corporate and corporate organizations, non-government organizations, Rotary to Rotaract partnerships. And then in line with service projects still, we had set out a goal of having at least 100% of reporting of the different projects that the clubs had. And of course, through the presidents, we encourage that they showcase this on the Rotary Showcase platform. Then still in line with our service projects, then we had encouraged and hoped to have at least clubs carrying out international service projects, at least 1 per club by March this year. still in line with service projects, we had set out a goal to encourage participation on international service projects such as React. This was in the Easter break. Congratulations and welcome back to everybody that managed to attend. Still in line with service projects, lastly, we had set out a goal to participate in main district, rather have Rotaractors participate in district activities, such as the Rotaract Helping Hands. You can see during the Rotaract week this year, we were mainly promoting the activities of the Rotaract Helping Hands, which has three aspects: WASH, health, as well as road safety. Our goal was to also encourage clubs to participate in the Rotaract Earth Initiative, empowering girls, as well as ROLI, the Rotaract Ladies Initiative. In terms of district, country, and club administration, when we were starting the Rotary year, we had set out a target of having 100% club reporting and updating on my Rotary organization. We shall have statistics and reports from the PIME team after this to see how far we have been able to achieve this. We also set out a target of ensuring that at least 100% of the clubs clear their dues by now. We shall receive that report from the treasurer. We had set out a target of of encouraging clubs to utilize systems of up to 80%. That includes adoption of bylaws, Rotaract Constitution. Again, we are going to have a comment later on how many clubs are actually abiding by this. We set out a target, or rather a goal, to encourage clubs to register as companies limited by guarantee. The goal was to have at least 40% of the clubs in our district fully registered by March, because we are going into an era of growth, an era of elevation of Rotaract, and more as we get into partnerships with corporate organizations, they're going to require us to be registered, for authenticity and all those other legal requirements by those organizations as per their CSR requirements. Still in line with district, country, and club administration, we had set out a goal of having, in terms of stewardship and accountability, to have at least audited books of accounts to at least 40%, that is overall across the district, not just at the district level, but at least encourage clubs to have their books audited, because then it's easier for you to apply for grants, and then you will look more credible when you seek out for partnership with corporate organizations. And lastly, in that category, we had set out a goal to increase presence and engagement of district, country, and club leaders. When it comes to the goal of the Rotary Foundation, giving and utilization, that we had hoped to achieve these particular goals and their subdivisions by March this year, we had set out a goal of having at least 20 sustaining members across the district. We set out a goal of having at least $10 contribution to TRF per capita. And we had set out a goal to have at least 6 Rotaractors becoming Paul Harris Fellows across the district. And lastly, we had set out a goal of having 20 clubs qualify for district grants by March 2023. We are going to still receive statistics on how far we have been able to achieve this. And lastly, in terms of partnerships, that involves improvement on our Rotaract Rotary partnership and mentorship. We had set out a goal of having each Rotaract club to at least conduct one joint activity with a Rotary club. This could have been a meeting, a joint fellowship, a takeover, a project, or anything there in between. And still in line with that Rotary Rotaract partnership, we had set out a goal of having clubs being linked, a linkage between members of the Rotaract club to Rotary of the similar profession for mentorship. For example, if I am a Rotaractor and I am into PR and communications, which Rotarian can be linked to you in your profession so that you can gain mentorship in that area? And then secondly, in terms of partnerships, we had set out to have a steadfast improvement in the Rotaract Interact partnership and mentorship. This we had hoped to achieve in two ways. First, encourage each Rotaract club to conduct at least one mentorship session with an Interact club by December last year. And then secondly, we had set out a goal to to encourage each Rotaract club to partner or join an Interact club in a project by March 2023. Now, these goals were shared, and of course, we have achieved during the year. We have had many sessions of breaking down what we have achieved by each quarter and all that. So, in this regard, I'm going to invite the PIME chair to share with us how far we have achieved these goals that we set out when we were starting the Rotary year, and what shortfalls we have had, the challenges we have had, and how realistic is it going to be for us to achieve what hasn't been achieved by now. PIME chair Ambition, are you ready?
Vivian, my network is really bad. I don't even know where we've reached because I was temporarily off.
Oh, sorry. I was giving an overview of the district goals. So I'm inviting you to give us a PIME report of how far we have achieved on in regards to the goals. How have clubs been performing? What have been the challenges thus far? How realistic is it going to be for us to achieve what we haven't achieved by now? Because the Rotary year ends in just a couple of months.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, all. Thank you for joining this assembly.
We lost you. We can't hear what you're presenting.
Yeah, Vivian, can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yeah, better now.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. It's very crazy for me now. So yeah, my name is Ambition Amwine, District PIME Chair. I'm going to summarize how we have progressed in regarding to the district goals that were set at the beginning of the Rotary year. Because of network, I won't be able to share the screen and what I had prepared as a presentation, but I will share a comprehensive report across so that people can read. But for now, I'm going to briefly take us through how we've progressed. So, like Vivian has introduced this, we had our goals in 8 categories. So the first one was the Rotary image. We have done very well in terms of compliance to the branding guidelines. Our goal was 90%, and we have achieved that. Most clubs have really tried to comply. We haven't had so many flyers out there being criticized and all that. We have tried to like comply in that area. And we have also been able to access the mainstream media. We've been on TV a couple of times. We've been in the
Ambition, we lost you again.
Yeah, we've been on TV a couple of times. We've been in the newspapers a couple of times. Our clubs of them have the social media accounts and are really active. So we've done well in that area. We've tried to improve information flow by 85%. District events have been clearly and very well promoted across our platforms. So we've done well in the Rotary image, and I've been quarterly recognizing the clubs that have been doing well image, and we've had so many clubs extremely doing very, very well. In terms of membership, we have 10 new clubs to brag about, chartered this Rotary year. We've had a steady increase in membership by 9%. We've been able to also have diverse members especially from the informal sector, and the other goal was to ensure that we have more students coming on board the IBCs. And the unfortunate bit of it is that we had a shock of 17 clubs being terminated at the end of December. It didn't physically make a big impact because most of those clubs had been very inactive for a long time, even before the Rotary year started. But yes, 17 were put down, which took us to 76 clubs, and as of December. So yeah, we had that incident happening. We had 125 new inductions, new members are coming on board, and we're able to have a couple of trainings in the area of membership as well. PLD, we were able to create a database of members, clearly indicating their abilities and interests in terms of professions. We thank the membership committee because it's the one that actually went ahead and created this database. And the hope was to have this information and be able to have a foundation or a base for creating mentorship opportunities and linking our members to opportunities. So we were able to establish the database, and I hope that going forward, this database will be able to help the Rotaractors who need the skills, who need mentorship, who need professional development. Various clubs were able to hold mentorship sessions, PLD forums, trainings, and other related activities like vocational service tours, vocational tours, and etc. So we had a total of 107 activities combined across the two countries, and we are very, very proud of that. Unfortunately, we didn't have a very good output in the PLD docket from the district team, and however, at club level, and it was really a successful one. Service projects, we excelled. We had the 4 main district projects implemented: Rolly Ray, Rotaract Helping Hands, and Empowering Girls projects successfully implemented. We had partnerships, something that we had emphasized. So we had 90% of the Rotary partnership with Rotary, 90% partnerships with corporate entities, and 40% of the projects that we had were in partnership with Rotaract. So we need to improve in terms of Rotaract partnerships, but we are doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, we lost our presenter. Just give him a couple of seconds to try and sort out his connectivity. In the meanwhile, please register your name and club in the chat room. And thank you so much for making time to listen into today's discussion. Okay, looks like it's taken a little longer. We shall dive into the next agenda so that we can allow the PIME chair a later time to chip in again and finish his presentation. Of course, as you know, the saying is, we are never all successful without our past. Usually our past contribute a lot to our current statures and what all things that we achieve in future. Right now, we are going to dive into a little bit of the past Rotary year to take a snippet into what transpired then, have a presentation of the audited book of accounts, as well as an overview of last year. PDR Noah and Tim, please, you are welcome to come in now.
And thank you, Vivian. Very good afternoon to you all. Thank you for signing in to this district assembly. I will not be taking a lot of time. We'll go ahead and invite last year's district treasurer, Patrick Sempija, to give us a presentation of the audited books of accounts. Over to you, Patrick.
Thank you very much, PDR Noah, and thank you very much, District Secretary and the whole team for putting this together. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to share my screen. Kindly confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Yes, Patrick. Yeah.
Okay. My role or task this afternoon is rather a simple one, is to share the annual report and financial statements for Rotaract District 9214, which consists of Uganda and Tanzania for the year ended 30th June 2022. If you could just give me 1 second, I confirm with the auditor she's supposed to read her opinion. Just a second. Sorry about that, Jim. The engagement partner is joining in shortly, but I'll proceed to present the annual report and the financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2022. If this has not been shared, it will be shared. These books were audited by Gimeko and Associates. These are public certified accountants. So most of this is background information, and I'm sure when you receive this report, you will be able to read the details. But brief information about Rotaract. We use the address, the Rotary office address. Then the PIME team for the Rotary year ending 30th June 2022 is as listed there, which was headed by Noah Nyabwana as the DRR. It had Prudence Asobola as the district secretary. Innocent Kundi was the DRR delegate in Tanzania. Deo Gracious was the assistant secretary. I will not read the whole list. It was a short list though. And we also had Francis Matovu, the DRR elect then. Then our bankers, or Centenary Bank, the account was specifically held at Mapera House, or the head office. We also hired an auditor, who is Gimeko Associates. Then the report from the district team. The district team submit their annual report together with the audited financial statements of Rotaract D9214 for the year or period ended 30th June 2022. Establishment, nature, and status of Rotaract D9214. This gives a brief history of the district and Rotaract in general. Someone please mute Caesar. Pius. Proceed. Caesar, kind of Pius. Oh, all right. Then the whole herein, we also took mention of the whole district team, and these are the members or the Rotaractors that were managing the whole district in the Rotary year 2021-2022. I'm sure you'll be able to identify these leaders somewhere, and in the interest of time, I'll not read the whole team, but just to emphasize that the team leader was Noah Nyabwana from the Rotaract Club of Mengo, who was the district Rotaract representative. It was quite a huge team with the 8 DRRs as well. And this report is signed by Noah Nyabwana, the DRR, and Patrick Sempija, who was the district treasurer. Audit objective, scope, and procedures. The main objective of the audit was to enable the auditor express a professional opinion on the financial statements by checking if the financial statements are in agreement with the books of accounts, appropriate governance and management structures, internal controls, and good record keeping systems are in place. procurement, use, control, and dispose of non-expendable assets are in accordance with the policies of the organization. The business, not a business as such, the entity complies with government laws and regulations. Maybe I need to let you know that when we were starting the District 9214, there were various policies and procedures or guidelines for that matter that were developed, and these were the ones that were guiding in the various aspects of managing the district. And to note specifically, we had a finance manual that we were using, which helped to put all this together. So in the interest of time, I will also not read all these, but go maybe just the audit results are presented in the auditor's report to the PIME team members of the district. So we had to get 2 PIME team members to sign off this report. Then the statement of responsibility. To paraphrase this long statement, ideally, the PIME team, as should I call it, the major executive team, management team of the district, are responsible for various activities, finance and others of the district, and as such are the main members, or for lack of a better word, management of Rotaract. So these reports are sent to them specifically. And to take charge of that, we made sure that myself and Noah sign up on these responsibilities. Let me check if the auditor is on. He needs to read this opinion himself. Just a second. Francis, if you're on call, kindly unmute and read the opinion.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I can. Is everyone able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My work is to read the audit opinion. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Kindly proceed.
Can I proceed? Okay. Good afternoon once again. I am CPA Francis Opoi. I am happy to read the audit opinion, given that I participated in this audit. This audit report is to PIME team members of Rotaract District 9214. We have audited accompanying financial statements set out on pages 9 to 15 of Rotaract District 9214, which comprise statement of comprehensive income, statement of financial position as at 30th June 2022, and cash flow statement for the year ended, and a note to the financial statement. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of the financial affairs of Rotaract District 9214 as at 30th June 2022, and of its financial performance and cash flows for the period then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and complying with the Accountants Act 2013. Now, allow me to to go through the basis for the opinion. We've conducted the audit in accordance with the international standards of auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under the standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of this report. As you know, we are independent of Rotaract District 9214 in accordance with the International Standards Board of Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, ISBA code, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to the audit of the financial statements in Uganda. And we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities. In accordance with these requirements and the ISB code, we believe the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for opinion. Now, allow me also to go through the key audit matters. The key audit matters are those matters that in our professional judgment were of more significance in our audit of financial statements for the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon, and we do not provide separate opinion on them. Now, I thought I should leave out the other information because that information is for buying team members. And we can only read it, but we have no influence on it unless it affects the financial statements. Now, I thought before I conclude, I should take you to the highlights of your comprehensive income. On page 9, the operating income for the Rotaract District 9214 was 76,019,926. If you go to note 2, you'll see the details. And your expenditures for the period, operational costs summarized in note 3 were 74.5,450,450. The finance charges, we brought them separately, and they were totaling to 644,880. If you go to note 4, you'll get the details. That gives you total expenses of 72,816,530. The bottom line, you had a net profit of 874,596. That was represented by the cash in the bank, cash and bank balance, not 5 in the bank. And that is what is under the statement of financial position. I signed the report myself, the audit opinion myself. My practice number is PO121. I was the engagement partner, and I'm CPA Opoy Francis of Gemaco and Associates. I wish to close there.
Thank you very much, Francis. We really appreciate your job, and we really appreciate the work you did for us. And hopefully, the current team will engage your services since you understood the basics of our organization. So we really appreciate you. Unless there are some questions for you, we shall let you leave the call. So I'll beg a district secretary. There are some questions for the auditor because he will exit this call in the next 3 to 5 minutes. I will
friends, do we have comments on the auditor's report before we proceed? Kindly raise your hand and share your comments, if any. Comments, questions, queries, any there. Anyone? I guess there is none. We can allow him exit and then you proceed with the presentation of the audited books.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Right. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Francis.
You're welcome.
All right. I will proceed with the report, with the statement of financial position. So, okay, the most important part of this report is what Francis read. Our operating income was 76,019,926. 1,926. So to break this down for the team, I will go to the note that has that operating income. This is note 2, which shows our comprehensive income. Now, district and country dues, we collected 11.576 million shillings. Then we got some funding for the DTTS, about 1.5 million shillings. Then ROTS, we collected 6.3 million shillings from the clubs towards ROTS. Then we got some money from District 9211, about 13.8 million shillings. Then why the amount seems so huge is because of the DCA transport. Now, we had to account for every money that came through the district account. And why the amount seems so huge to amount of 76, over half of that is in the DCA transport money that was collected. So we collected 37.9 million shillings for the DCA transport. Please note that this was also spent towards DCA. We also sold T-shirts. We made a profit of 1,010,000 shillings. This was added to our income. Then other incomes, about 1.5 million shillings. These were collected in other avenues. When we had different meetings, we used to raise funds. For instance, when we had the district team building, we collected money towards the website. Then all those other monies that used to come in towards the district, all the pledges we got were about 1.5 million shillings. Then from the Tanzania side, from the district dues, we collected 1.4 million Tanzania shillings, which is a representative of 2.3 million Uganda shillings. So the total income was 76 million. Dear colleagues and friends, if I am to move to the operating expenses of the district, we had facilitation for the DRR's office. We spent about 9.06 million shillings. I'll go down. We had a newsletter, which we spent about 480,000 shillings for the whole year. Then we also had administrative expenses. When we are starting out, we bought a laptop for the district secretary, which cost us 2 million shillings, a laptop and a laptop bag. If you recall, we needed Zoom subscription, so we paid a total of 607,000 shillings, 607,500 shillings towards Zoom. This was a subscription for the district, and I'm sure it helped both the district and different clubs. Then the Rolly project, we spent about 382,500. Then the refund, this refund was to the DRR. When we're opening the account, he lent us his 200,000 to open the district account. So we had to reimburse him. So all these transactions were done at bank. We did not have any cash transaction. The few cash transactions we had, I will explain later on. For instance, the money collected from T-shirts, I collected the money myself. So it was not collected through the bank because it is little monies. I had to collect the whole batch and then post at the bank. Otherwise, all these other transactions were done at bank, and they are evidenced on the bank statement. But to summarize and moving on, we had the district team facilitation of 1.18 million. Now this is throughout the whole year. Breaks down the team buildings, the data facilitations for the ADRRs. Then PR and branding, 3.19 million shillings. If you note that the district was just starting, so we needed to buy almost everything brand new, teardrops, banners, and pull-ups. So we had to spend quite a bit of money in doing these things because we had a new district and there was no branding material that was taken up from the previous district. Then we had a visit from the RI president. This was a shared cost between D9214 and D9213. Then we had the send-off for one of our colleagues, Yoweri. May he so rest in peace, about 0.96 million shillings. Then we had an Interact project. We facilitated it with 500,000 shillings. Like that, if I may. Then from Tanzania, we spent about 590,000 Tanzanian shillings on their projects. ROTS, we spent about 4.9. Then we hosted our website at 400,000 shillings. Then we had a district team retreat, which was a co-shared payment thing. So the members paid and also the district facilitated about 40%. Then in Tanzania, we also facilitated the DRRs in Tanzania with 393,500 Tanzania shillings. Then DTTS, the training, we spent about 2.5 million shillings. The same goes to Tanzania. Then the district conference transport, we spent about 38.3 million shillings. So if you may realize, money came in and went out, over half of the expenditure. Please don't worry, don't get alarmed that the expenses are too high. It was because of the district transport, DCA transport, which was done through the district account. Then we also spent about 625,000 shillings at the district conference and 1.6 for the awards. If I am to move to the finance costs, we had about 529,680 shillings for the Uganda account. These are bank charges that are debited off the account. Then for the Tanzania side, we had about 115,000 shillings. So a total of 644,880 was used in administration of the account. Then as the year closed, the Tanzania account had about 10,448,000 shillings. This is in UGX, it was converted to UGX. Then the Uganda shillings account had 864,148 shillings, making a total of 874,596 Uganda shillings. But to note, to let you know, the Tanzania account was closed at the end of the Rotary year for the reasons that it was a joint account held, so it wasn't basically a district account. And at the end of the Rotary year, this account was closed. Otherwise, I want to thank you very much for allowing me to present this report. And I want to thank in a special way DRR Noah for allowing me to be the district treasurer, the inaugural district treasurer for D9214 and the Rotary year 2021-2022. And I will hand over back to you, Noah. And if there are any questions thereafter, I am available to answer as they may arise. Thank you very much, and over to you, DRR Noah.
Thank you very much, Past District Treasurer Patrick, for this report. I'm indeed grateful that we were able to have this audit done, and I'm very confident that after this assembly, our current district secretary Vivian will share the audit report with the entire district. It is indeed your privilege as Rotaractors of District 9214 to be privy to all this information, because it shows you how the finances that you have contributed towards the district administration are being handled. I'll hand over back to you, District Secretary Vivian, to handle the Q&A for our audit report.
Thank you so much, PDR Noah and your team. Friends, I'm going to invite reactions to the just presented audited books of accounts for last Rotary year. If you have any questions, comments, additions, subtractions, please feel free to unmute. This is a free platform. Do not have your comments and fear to say them out, because the essence of a district assembly is for the district to give accountability to all of us, because in one way or the other, we greatly contribute to the finances at the district. So please feel free to unmute and share your comments or questions and anything you maybe you may need clarity or anything.
Patrick, there's this query from Sezi Rakijuma from Rotaract Makindye West. Kindly give a brief highlight breakdown of the transport that costed 38 million. Would you like to answer this, or I can answer it?
Please proceed.
All right, so Sezi and the rest of the Rotaractors on this platform, we organized transport to go to Arusha for the district conference. However, to allow for easy accountability of the money collected from the Rotaractors and the Rotarians who joined us to use road transport to Arusha for the district conference, based on the negotiations we had with the bus company, we agreed that Patrick would allow us as a district treasurer to use the district account as the collection point for all transport money. That is why you saw all the money that came in towards the transport to Arusha went out in the same period of time, because it was just a collection center to allow us to have one that could easily would give us easy accountability for that transport money. So it wasn't an income to the district, and the expenditure also wasn't expenditure from the district, but rather expenditure from the Rotaractors and the Rotarians who joined us for the road transport to Arusha.
Thank you, PDR and Noah. Do we have any other questions or comments in regards to the audited books of accounts for last Rotary year? I'm giving it one more minute, and in case there is none, then I will invite us to adopt this book. And by adoption, we acknowledge that the books were audited, the report was read, and we were comfortable with it. So we shall not be expecting any complaints once this book is adopted, and yet we didn't make any comments about it. 30 seconds to go.
Maybe Vivienne, just to advise and guide, they can have comments even later, and we shall be able to address them in case they come up. But adoption is for this assembly, and adopt, and then
just hold on, let me. Please proceed.
If there's some clarity that is required, we shall definitely provide it, even after this assembly.
Okay, all right, thank you, Patrick, for your guidance. VPP Charles, should we assume you're unmuting to make a comment?
Not dear.
All right, Francis, I will invite you to please lead the adoption of these books of accounts. Francis, are you there?
Thank you so much. Am I audible enough?
Yes, please.
Before we go ahead to adopt the sub account, I'm requesting the voting delegates to rename themselves, VD, then the name and the club, and we will do this at a later stage. So let's continue with the program, and we will adopt at a later stage after we have identified all the voting delegates. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Francis. Voting delegates, please rename yourselves. The instructions have been posted on the chat room. As we proceed, of course, like I mentioned earlier, last year gave us a basis on how this year has been running. And in that regard, I'll invite the current district treasurer to give us an overview and a report of our finances from the beginning of the Rotary year and up until now. Darius?
All right. Thank you, Madam Secretary. And I'm here to give brief highlights of our financials. Where I am in Mengo, unfortunately, we lost power and I'm not able to present from my computer, but I had a printed copy from which I will present from the highlights of our financials and how they have been. Probably I will share the report with the secretary, who can then pass it on to the rest of the members. So I'll just mention the highlights of our financials, the income, the expenditure, maybe what I could call outliers in terms of the high figures, as well as make a comment on the clubs that have cleared their dues. So overall, and the report is up to the 31st of March, if I'm to be clear. We haven't included the figures for April. So up to the 31st of March, the district had collected about 21,689,000 as total income. And of that, 52% came from dues, which is about 11,429,000. That coming from 43 clubs out of the 76 that we have active at the moment. We also had just 2% coming through as funds towards projects. That's about 400,000. And then we had about 37% of this income coming through as payments for roads. That is about 8,100,000. And then we also had some contributions from the Rotary office, and this contribution was mainly tagged to the travel for the DRR, and that was about 1.56, which translates to 7.2% of our income. And then we had other income, which came through in form of donations that contributed just 1%, which is about 200,000 up to that point of end of March 2023. So that was our total income, 21,689,000. Then in terms of expenditure, as at 31st of March, we had spent about 19,738,000. And of this, most of this expense had gone towards expenses for the DR's office, which had taken about 42% of that expenditure. And then we had roads being the next high figure, about 33.8%. So that was about 6.7 million, meaning that we had saved some money from road expenses. Other things that we had spent on include things like contributing towards projects, contributing towards Interact Week activities, PR and branding, payment for the district Zoom account, Yes, I think those were the high expenses, and you will see the rest from the report when it is shared with you, because they are small figures. I may not read each and everything, but maybe one of the key highlights is that I will state that at the moment, district dues seems to be the biggest source of funds for the district. We do hope that the fundraising docket for next Rotary year would be able to step in and generate more funds for the district. Otherwise, if you're to see how the figures are, just relying on dues collections may not be sustainable. Then the other thing, I think it's asking ourselves, how can we cut the expenses that are related to the DR's office? Because if you realize, most of these expenses relate to his travel to both Tanzania, and yet we had little collections in terms of dues coming through from Tanzania. So I don't know if we can be creative around the DR's visits in terms of how they are facilitated, so that more of these funds can go towards impact, maybe projects, activities, and supporting our clubs to be more sustainable. I think for me, that was my biggest highlight from the financials up to that point. So I did indicate we have about 43 clubs that have had already cleared their dues by the 31st of March, and which means that we had about 33 clubs that were still struggling to complete their dues. We will continue to follow up with them to ensure that they are able to clear, and I'll also be able to share that list. So from my side, that is it at a high level. And maybe when I share the details of the expenditure, where the 19 million went, maybe members will be able to see for themselves. Over to you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you so much, our current district treasurer, Darius Nkwasibe. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have any comments, questions as per the district treasurer's presentation on the finances, our incomes and expenditures so far? Well, of course, at the end of this Rotary year, the books of accounts of this Rotary year will be audited, and at next year's district assembly, they'll be presented and read to all of us that will be attending the district assembly then. Okay, as you share your comments, I'm going to just read through the vote delegates that were submitted to us by the clubs, just to confirm if they're online, and then they can rename themselves, because later at a certain time, we are going to create a breakout room where these voting delegates that you sent us from your clubs can go ahead and vote for, and go ahead and vote for our new leadership. But meanwhile, let me just read out, and please confirm if you're online. The following were presented from Rotaract Club of Lukaya. We have the current president, Hassan Sensai. Could you please confirm if you're online? President Hassan? Okay, the silence implies he is not here. From the Rotaract Club of Kairuki in Tanzania, we had Joyce Joseph submitted as a voting delegate. Joyce Joseph was on the call earlier. Please rename yourself. The instructions were posted on the chat room by the district Rotaract representative. And it should be rename yourself starting with VD, standing for voting delegate, your name, and then your club. Joyce Joseph, if you could please rename yourself, starting with VD, your name, and then your club, so that it will be easier for us to add you to the separate section for voting. The other voting delegates from Rotaract Club of Mbarara, we had Rukundo Darwin and Duhura Sam Jeremiah submitted. Could you two please confirm if you're online? Rukundo Darwin and Duhura Sam Jeremiah. Okay, I believe silence implies they are not online. Moving on to the Rotaract Club of Bushenyi, they submitted Arinda Dixon as the voting delegate. Arinda Dixon, are you online? Okay, he's not here too. From the Rotaract Club of Kajansi, they submitted Erecho Felix and Namsoke Koni. Could these two please confirm if they're online? Erecho Felix and Namsoke Koni from the Rotaract Club of Kajansi. These two might not be here as well. Please, if you know these people, encourage them to log in. Moving on to the voting delegates that we are submitted. The Rotaract Club of Mbarara City submitted to Singwire Jonan and Wandera Brian. Could you two please confirm if you're online? To Singwire Jonan and Wandera Brian, submissions from Rotaract Club of Mbarara City. If you are online, please rename yourself, starting with VD, standing for voting delegate, your name, and lastly, your club. And then from the Rotaract Club of Chengera, they submitted Aleba Kanyonza. Please rename yourself, starting with VD, your name, and then lastly, your club. Aleba Kanyonza, submitted by the Rotaract Club of Chengera. And then lastly, we have a submission from the Rotaract Club of Natete Kampala. They submitted their past president, Peter Katalemo. Please rename yourself, starting with VD, your name, and then your club. Thank you. That is it for the communication about voting delegates. We shall dive into that communication later on as we proceed. Okay, moving forward, proceeding with our agenda, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being on call up to now. We have 1 hour left for this program to close. We intend to close by 4:30, so please bear with us and just stay on call and listen into all the amazing things that we have left forward. Earlier on, during the PIM Chair's presentation, he dropped off before we could receive a comprehensive report of the overall of how our clubs are performing, what we have achieved thus far. Will it be realistic for us to achieve whatever we have not achieved by the end of the Rotary year, and what have been the challenges the PIM team has faced? Ambition, if you could please take 5 minutes to finalize your presentation as the next team gets ready. We are going to have, after that, I will invite DRE Prudence and her team to first present the goals for next Rotary year. And then we shall have the next Rotary year's district treasurer give us an insight into the budget of next year. What does it look like? How do we hope to fundraise? How do we hope to get our incomes? And what are the projected expenditures? Ambition, as Prudence and her team get ready.
Yes, Vivian, a moment, please. Yeah, thank you. I had reached the area of the goal of service projects, and I had mentioned that we completed the implementation of the 4 main district projects, and that's Rotaract Helping Hands, which was our signature project. Ray and Empowering Girls were able to see 28 international service activities at club level. And so these include projects and partnerships in terms of fellowships. We had a raw reporting on showcase of the projects. We're rating it at 45% of the projects that were implemented. We had 90% of the projects in partnership with Rotary, which was one of our key goals. And we had, of those, we had part of the projects implemented, we had and 60% of all the projects were in partnership with the corporate companies and NGOs and other sponsors. Darius talked about the dues collections, which is approximately, the collections were approximately 70% of what we expected to collect. That's now under district, country, and club administration. We had set out ourselves to promote use of club systems so that clubs can, start formalizing and respecting the bylaws, adopting the constitutions and etc. That's one of the things that we promoted. We had also we started by encouraging clubs to register as companies limited by guarantee. We had 4 clubs successfully register, and we also had a couple of trainings. The recently concluded DTTS and ROTS, but also had along the way so many trainings like the zonal trainings and etc. Rotary Foundation, we had collections of $5,253 from Uganda and 300 TZ shillings from TZ. That's according to the clubs that have shared the receipts with us. So it's basically based on reporting, but we think that this figure can go up because there are so many clubs which have not shared with us information, and we shall be able to get updated information, which the figure will be going up. We've had 10 clubs participating in the grants, and also had a couple of trainings around grants and the Rotary Foundation. So basically, that's how we have fared in some of these areas. I'll be sharing a detailed document for all clubs to understand, especially, I usually give the ratings of clubs, performance of clubs. We are also going to handle the awards of the outstanding clubs at DCA. So that information, I can't let it out now. So at the end of the process, I will be able to share comprehensive accountability of the performance of the district for a whole year. So thank you for the opportunity. That's how I can briefly go through how we performed vis-a-vis the goals that we had set. Thank you. Back to you, Vivienne. Vivienne?
Sorry. I was speaking to myself. I thought I had unmuted. Thank you so much, Ambition, and thank you for giving us an insight into where we are at now. I'm going to invite the next Rotarians team to, the DR will invite her team to, first of all, DRE will invite our team to first of all give us the goals for the next Rotary year, and then the forecast of the budget. How do we forecast the incomes and expenditures for next Rotary year? And then after that, we shall be diving into the closing part, that is the voting and everything there in between. DRE Prudence, with your team, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Vivian, and everybody else on the team. I would like to appreciate the teams for basically also the DR Noah with his team for leading by example and sharing with us the audited books of accounts. I think it's a good way to start the Rotary year and also to start a new district. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Prudence Asobola, and I'll be serving as the district Rotaract representative-elect for the next Rotary year. And I am pleased to say that I'll be working with a great team of people. And I would like to call upon the person who will be serving as our district executive secretary, and that is Ambition Bailon Moine, to share with us the goals of next Rotary year, and thereafter our district finance or treasurers, that is Joyce Joseph and Labor, whoever they planned is ready to present to us the budget for adoption. Thank you very much, and over to you, Bailon.
Oh, thank you very much. I was going to request for sharing the screen. Thank you very much. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, let's start with the. Okay, let's go to the goals. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide, please. JB, our first priority area is increasing our impact when we make decisions grounded on evidence. So we are going to definitely be doing projects as well. This is something that has to be done every single year in a bid to increase our impact. We are looking at implementing as many projects as possible, but to also ensure that we are reporting to Rotary Showcase. At least 50 club projects are reported. We are looking at 10 multi-club projects initiated by March 2024. We are encouraging partnerships, 5 Rotaract-led brands international service projects initiated. We are still not doing as many international service projects as possible, so we are looking at least 5. Utilization of district grants at least $15,000, and also to look at 250 Rotaractors participating in RAY and ROY activities. If you understand when it means 250 for our district alone, that's quite a target. And also to see 30 clubs fulfill the global grant qualification requirements. And also part of attempting to increase yeah, we're also looking at hosting a TRF recognition dinner and also adopting Polio Plus as our district flagship initiative. We have already started that, and you will realize that your clubs will need chairs at club level to help the district in terms of mobilization for this project, in terms of contributions, also implementation. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Kindly share the next slide. Yeah. Next priority area is to expand our reach, and in order to expand our reach, we are looking at two goals: membership and partnerships. So we under membership, we are looking at chartering 3 community-based clubs and 2 institutional-based clubs in Tanzania by March 2024. And for Uganda, 6 community-based clubs and 1 institutional-based club. And you realize that with Elevate Rotaract, it's now this power is in our hands. We can independently do this as clubs. Record 100% membership reporting on my Rotary, increase the overall district members by 30%, and also at least 20 Rotaract transitions to Rotary, as well as emphasis in diversity.
Ambition, we lost you. Is there somebody who can help him? It seems to be having a network glitch. Somebody from the team that could chip in for him?
Thank you very much, Vivian. Can you confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, please.
I would like to proceed with partnerships in the second area of priority, expanding our reach. We want all clubs to have at least one external means of communication, especially on social media. We also want to encourage and continue the monthly updates on the district website, participation in production of a monthly DR's newsletter, which we hope to be able to produce every 5th of each month, 100% compliancy of the Rotary branding guidelines. And then we are also going to revive the Uniform Fridays that were started at the beginning of this district for us to be able to promote Rotaract as a brand at our places of work. And lastly, would like to encourage and plan to have at least 50 appearances in national media, TV, radio, and print. As we proceed, the third area of priority is enhancing participant engagement. And for participant engagement, our focus is going to be on professional and leadership development, which is one of the key areas of focus that we are going to have this Rotary year. The goal is that we shall host at least 5 district PLD forums by end of March 2024. And we also plan that we will work with Vijana Power to ensure, and Toastmasters International, to be able to acquire at least 100 internships for Rotaractors. We are also going to put an emphasis on productivity and informative fellowships that we have on a weekly basis. The district Rotaract representative-elect is very passionate about professional development, and as such, we will also give our clubs a new reporting template specifically for us to be able to follow up on this in regards to professional and leadership development. To probably be just a link that you fill at the end of each month to be able to assess the development of our members in terms of leadership and development and professional. Lastly, our area of focus is increasing our ability to adapt. We live in a changing world and we must be change ready. And as such, we are set 4 goals for this. And this is in regards to how we do administration at both club and at district level. Number 1, would like to encourage increased partnership with Rotary and Rotaract. We're encouraging clubs to be able to do things, almost everything with their Rotary clubs or sponsor clubs. They could be sponsor or any other club, but we like clubs to have at least one item they do with their mother clubs on a monthly basis. It could be a fellowship, it can be a mentorship session, it could be a retreat, a training, or anything, but have something you do with a Rotary club or your sponsor club on a monthly basis. We also want to have 100% use of the district procurement guidelines. These were distributed to all district officials. The same will also be done to, so your district officials will be, the ADR will be able to translate to the clubs what these procurement guidelines mean, so that we know when to request for money, how money is given, and all of that. And we also hope that the clubs will be able to use the same in their respective clubs. We want to deliberately encourage clubs to register on enroll on e-banking networks. These support in having proper accountability of funds. You recall that just today, as Patrick was presenting to us, he said that most of what they did was in the bank. The same as also applied this Rotary year. Spendings are done from the bank, we spend from the bank. And I think if clubs are able to enroll for the e-banking networks, then we'll be able to grow in this line. So we want to deliberately make an effort and encourage at least 30 clubs to be able to enroll on this. Then we also want to encourage all clubs to set up disciplinary committees and guidelines and adopt bylaws. I think here what we are saying is we want to encourage clubs that don't have bylaws to please ensure that you have bylaws, and those bylaws have disciplinary guidelines that can help you in avoiding things that shouldn't come to the public, but come to the public because maybe bylaws are not clear or are not understood. These are the goals that we have set for this Rotary year. And maybe as we close, I'd like to share, just a minute. I'd like to share a document that we are also going to distribute to all clubs, which is an action plan. A district Rotaract representative-elect is inviting us to adopt a vision, a mission for this year, which is bringing hope to the world by becoming vibrant members of Rotaract, while joyfully helping others to serve to the best of their ability. So we are going to be able to support each other. Remember that we are working, we are as strong as all of us are important. I think a district representative currently has said all of us matter. And because of that statement, we believe that each one of us contributes to the success of your clubs and the district. So this mission statement is to help us understand that we are here to support each other to become better. Our vision statement remains the same as Rotary International. Together we see a world where people unite to take action to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. And this is why this is very important, because it has three components here. We are here to support our communities, support the world, but also most importantly to grow ourselves. These three are what we are going to call our areas of priority. We would like to focus on polio. Rotaract, this is one of Rotary International's key focus areas, eliminating polio. And over the years, I think as Rotaractors, we've managed to participate, but not deliberately doing it. So this year we are making a deliberate effort, asking even clubs to appoint polio officers and also contribute money towards polio, but then they also do projects that are in line with ending polio. Our next area of focus is going to be peace, promoting peace. I think as even outgoing district projects chair, I will confirm that this area of focus is abandoned by many of our clubs. We don't participate in projects that are promoting peace. Our Rotary International president-elect has also chosen peace and mental health as one of his key initiatives this Rotary year. And that is why we are choosing to do this. And then lastly, like I said, PLD, profession and leadership development, is also going to be an area of emphasis this year. So our area of priority, or the 3 Ps this year, are going to be polio, peace, and PLD. And as members of the district team, the presidents, and those that are serving in the different capacities, we're asking you to adopt the following as your core values. Number 1, teamwork, integrity, equity, and we need to be result-oriented. We cannot be result-oriented if we don't report, and that is why we are going to drum the bells of reporting and asking all of you to report about the things that you do for us to be able to have results at the end of the day. As we are doing this, we need to be very honest. I think, again, by example, this Rotary year, we asked clubs to report projects on the Rotary Showcase before they report them to the district, and people submitted to us links that were in draft form. So it is not reported, you go click and it is in draft, nothing is there. But you said I should put on the Rotary Showcase, so I have put. We're asking us to be very integral people. And then, of course, teamwork. All of us are supposed to work together. This is a district assembly. We have presidents, we have district leaders, and what? And the link, the division between district leaders and club leaders is something that we want to work on and understand that we are all working towards one goal. Hence, the choosing of this as our number 1 core value. And lastly, as we are going to measure our progress in the following formats, we will use monthly reports that you already have on top of the monthly reports that you have been able to fill as secretaries. We'll also provide an online reporting system specifically for presidents, because we believe that there are lots of challenges that have come in where people cannot sit down and do the actual filling of the report that is available, and we don't get the numbers of the things that are happening. So we've designed a template online that will take probably 5 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes at minimum, for presidents to specifically fill in what they need to fill in, and we get to be able to capture all the information of what is happening and be able to also easily follow up. What we also plan to do is that the information that comes from that report that comes online is what we shall share with all of you on a monthly basis to see the progress of where we are, where we want to be, and that kind of trend. And then the reports that we've always felt in that give details and what are going to also be still required for the time to know the actual details after they get the numbers in the links that will be shared. We also provide monthly TRF reports. These ones, I think what we are specifically looking for is to be able to see how much money members are contributing towards polio. Of course, we are still going to use the Rotary Showcase. And finally, the district Rotaract representative has mentioned that she is going to visit clubs at zonal level. So we will not be visiting every single club, but the reason also bringing so many clubs into one visit is to encourage teamwork and also bring to pass all of these dreams that we have. This does not mean that clubs that require special attention from the DRR would not get that. You have a right to request for a visit through your ADRR, and then you'll get the attention that you need. I would like to thank you and say we present this to you for voting or acceptance. Back to you.
Thank you, JB. Just before the Treasury team comes up, friends, please note that a call was previously sent before this district assembly. In this call, we encourage clubs to submit voting delegates from the respective clubs. Now, I'm receiving chats from some of you claiming you previously sent this information, but we did not receive it. So in case that wasn't sent, please provide proof. And the kind of proof I need is a screenshot of the email. I do not know which email you sent to, because whichever club sent in the voting delegates, at least we captured everything. So in case you think or feel that information from your club wasn't sent, please send in proof. Otherwise, these names you're sending now, I will not consider. I hope this is very clear information. The finance team, please take over.
Good afternoon. Yes, so we'll be working, okay, I'm Ale Bakanyoza. I'm going to be working as the district treasurer. I'm going to be working with Joyce Joseph from Tanzania. Vivian, it says that the host disabled the ability to share screen. I'd like to share.
Oh, just hold on. Let's have you made co-host so that you can be able to share your screen. JB, if you could please make her co-host.
Done.
Okay, we can confirm whether, can someone confirm if they can see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. So my role here is basically to share the budget that we are working with for the next Rotaract. Yes, so as previously said, I'm going to be working with Joyce Joseph from Tanzania. These are our administrative costs. Yes, that is under the district secretary's docket. We will be footing website posting, the Zoom, data, Rotaract week activities, interact week activities. There will be stationery in there. Yes, so the total under the docket is 4,117,000. There's a USD equivalent with a unanimous rate of 3,800. Well, obviously, as the Rotary year goes on, there will be some changes. From the DRR's office, we'll have pen and banners, air tickets, that is for her travels to Tanzania, and the facilitation that goes in all that. For the DRR delegate, travel insurance, and yeah, yes. And the DR is facilitation, the then DR is facilitation. The total comes to 13,185,500. Then from PIME, obviously we plan for awards. These are given out at the district conference. That will be in April 2024. Then the Prediscon Awards, then the cost of we'll be putting the presidential forums together with the district district what are they called? Okay, let's call them just district assemblies, but it's not necessarily an assembly for the district team and presidents. The PIME believes that the district team and the presidents should be united, and maybe we should have these getaways together, these retreats together. So we are holding that in one. Hence that. So the total budget for that comes to about 11 million. Then from the PR budget is flyers, photography, videography, data, certificates, branding material, the transport costs involved, venues for trainings. Now there's something here, a PR project. Some of those things will be self-sustaining. It's more of like a fundraiser, but there will be some posting. So that's why it's indicated here. However, it's self-sustaining. Hire of PA systems, media coverage. Yes, so the total for that will come to about 5.6,075,000. Then we are looking at 2 signature projects. This is a rough estimate. In most cases, these costs also cover themselves. However, we are indicating the district is willing to give about 1.5 to each project. Then PLD as well. The PLD budget runs to 1.6 million. Then ROTS 2024, ROTS is also self-sustaining, so the figures are not necessarily indicated. Then we'll have some costs dedicated to the district conference, not necessarily the awards, but in regards to the launching and PR and mobilization, hence the 2 million indicated. Then for facilitation for the ADRs from the different districts, and also the membership team. Okay, the total comes to about 3.95. And then, yes, district, the DTTS, sorry, I indicated 2023 instead of 2024. That is next year. We're looking at most using a 3.5 from the district. All other costs can be footed by the attendees. and then a rough estimate of audit fees. Where are we looking at that money coming from? We expect to have payment of district dues, fund about 15 million of that budget. We are hoping that our Rotary counterparts, these budgets have been shared with them, but yes, we are hoping to get 10 million from the Rotary end. And we now have a fundraising committee for the next Rotary year ready. It's going to be led by the incoming fundraising chair. And we are looking at having partnerships and corporate sponsorship help us raise money that we use to cover district costs. As you can see, we are hoping to get more money than we spend so that the district does not operate on an empty, the incoming team does not operate on an empty account. Yes, so that is it from my end. Maybe Joyce, Joseph, do you have anything to supplement?
Nothing to add.
In case there's nothing, I think we can have comments, questions, queries. Yeah.
Thank you so much to the incoming finance team. Like she mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to share your comments, questions, and any other submissions to the just presented budget for next Rotary year. Should I assume the silence means we are happy with the projection so far? And should the final come to fundraise, you won't hesitate to give us $1 or $2? Or even more? Okay, perfect. Aleba and team and dear Prudence, there are no comments in regards to your presentation. I thank you all so much for making time to compile that, and we wish you all the very best of luck as you're planning to take over leadership at the end of this Rotary year. Now, friends, we are coming. Excuse me? Okay, I was saying, as we are coming to the end of this assembly, and as we are planning to attend the district conference in Barara, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to the final part. We are going to the final part of this this assembly. That includes the voting on the earlier on presented audited books of account from the last Rotary year, as well as voting and adoption of the resolutions that were sent by your clubs to us when we made a call. Host, please help me unmute that person. Host as well, please help me separate the voting delegates into their breakout session now. If you're a voting delegate, we had earlier requested that you name yourself, starting with VD, your name, and then club. We received a total of 9 submissions for the voting delegates. Out of those 9, 3 of them are online. I received 1 apology from the Rotary Club of Kajansi. With guidance from our leaders, how should this proceed? Do we only consider this? Then do we only consider the available people? Or how do we go this? As they are guiding us, our leaders, I mean, PDR Noah Nyawana, Francis Matovu, and Prudence Asobola. In the meanwhile, as they are sharing the guidance, let me read out the resolutions. These resolutions were sent by the clubs that I'll be reading to you in a bit. JP, could you just please help me project that? This person at Mukolo. Ngabi mo over. Okay, interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you're able to see your screen. The first resolution was from the Rotaract Club of HKMU, that is Kairuki in the in the other country, that is Tanzania. They sent a letter, an email, and they were proposing that the eligibility criteria for country representatives in the district Rotaract representative nomination elections, they were suggesting that the current criteria are so hard on institutional based clubs, and as such, they recommend that for one to be able to elect, they must have been a Rotaractor for at least 3 consecutive years. They are requesting that be changed to at least 1 full year, and currently on their 2nd year at campus, because most members graduate after 3 to 4 years in the university, having had successfully joined Rotaract in their 2nd year of study. Some of the potential members managed to hold important positions in the club, such as presidency or vice presidency, but of such criteria fails to take part in the important activities, such as to be country representative in selection of district Rotaract representative nominee. We, that is the club, the Rotaract Club of Kairoki, believe that we as a district, or rather they as a club and overall institutional based clubs, should be able to be given a right to partake in the election of the district leaders. And if should this be considered by, of course, the district, they will be able to successfully participate in the election of the leaders. The same club says they must have attended. The current criteria suggests that for one to be considered a country representative, this person or Rotaractor must have attended the full duration of at least 2 of the 3 last district conferences. They are, however, recommending and suggesting that this should be removed because of the following reasons. Number 1, they are recommending to the districts that there is no specific training that is given during the district conference and assembly, that those who attended are taught on how to properly elect their district Rotaract representative nominee. So in their defense, they are saying it's pretty unfair to be subjected to have attended DCAs to be able to nominate our leadership. Secondly, the same club, Kairuki, is mentioning that, however, maybe they should attend the district conference, that they will take part in the physical voting. In their argument, if in case you have not understood this, their argument is that one of our current regulations as a district, as per our guiding document, which was adopted last Rotary year, one must have attended 2 of the last DCAs to be considered a voting delegate. So the club is suggesting that there are no trainings at the district conference that should suggest otherwise, that somebody can't vote. And then secondly, if the voting is going to be at this current DCA, please, they are suggesting that that person should have attended the current DCA when the voting is going to be done. Well, we are going to see how that goes. The second resolution was sent. JB, if you can just go up, down the screen. Down the screen, please. If you could just scroll down the screen. Hello, host. If you could just scroll down the screen. No,
I am moving the screen.
The center to up to the point which has the, yes, right there. No. Just cover all the resolutions. Right, there. Thank you. The other resolutions were presented by the Rotaract Club of Bushenyi. This club is suggesting, or rather they say, that they would wish to make physical trainings. They would wish to have physical trainings of the PLD and projects rather than online, at least once a year. The Rotaract Club of Bushenyi as well says there should be some funding, especially for service projects and branding, as most clubs still face a challenge with standard Rotary branding due to insufficient funds. From the Rotaract Club of Kajansi, the club says the district Rotaract representative / ADR visits, assessment of their impact, these dockets. Could it be a way to I think they meant, could there be a way to minimize the district expenditure in the same regard? Maybe have these visits clustered so that the expenditures are reduced. And the same club is saying that support be given to institutional-based clubs. Could we, I think this we, they mean the district, could we tailor something specific to their level? Ladies and gentlemen, as we get into the voting, our voting delegates that are online, Ms. Aleba Kanyonza, Peter Katalemwa, as well as Joyce Joseph. I'm going to just invite PDR Noah and Prudence to give us a clue or rather guidance on how we should proceed. As I mentioned earlier, and as I read earlier, we received nine submissions in regards to the people who were meant to vote. However, we have only had 3 of those people online, and out of the 9 as well, we had one apology from the Rotaract Club of Kajansi. PDR Noah, maybe you can guide on how we proceed. Should we still give the people who didn't vote, didn't be here, a chance? How should we proceed? Thank you. PDR Noah, are you still online? Or Prudence can come in? Hello, Noah or Prudence, are you people still online?
Hello, District Secretary. Sorry, I was a bit absent-minded. What was the question?
We should be finding you. I just read out the resolutions. I don't know if you were able to listen to, but I was asking you for guidance on how we should proceed with the voting. These are the resolutions we received from the clubs, and in the same regard, clubs submitted 9 persons to be on the voting committee. However, of the 9, only 3 people have been online, and we received 1 apology from the Rotaract Club of Kajansi. Could you please guide on how the voting process should be done? Should we just invite comments? How should we proceed with this particular activity?
All right, from what I see, okay, from our guidelines, we do not have a threshold for quorum for voting. But correct me if I'm wrong, it could have changed. However, as you very well know, even in the law, much as you want to follow the law to the book, sometimes you want to invoke the spirit of the law. Us being represented by 3 out of the number of clubs that are in our district might not be exactly very representative when it comes to voting on resolutions that affect the entire district. I have also since learned that these resolutions were not shared with clubs prior, so that even the voting delegates here will be voting as individuals, not as positions of the club, because we would have expected that these would be discussed in the club assemblies of the clubs that have sent in voting delegates, and then they would be able to come and vote the position of the club and not their personal position. So with that, I would think that with your leadership wisdom, you would be able to discern and agree on a way forward. However, if this voting doesn't happen today, due to those, of course, the key important thing here is that we do not expect the voting delegates to be giving us their personal positions unless they can very quickly share this with and convene a club assembly online immediately now and have this discussed and then agreed upon in that club assembly. They would be giving us their opinion on these resolutions, but that is not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the opinion of the club that has sent in the voting delegate in as far as district resolutions are concerned and bylaws, resolutions towards the district bylaws. So the advice here would be that these are then sent to the clubs to be discussed. And at the next district assembly, which DRE Prudence, who will then be DRR Prudence, who will be convening, is when on top of the other resolutions that would have been sent in, maybe to counter these ones or to supplement these ones, would then have been shared prior with the clubs through their club secretaries, and they will be discussed at the club assemblies. And then the clubs that would have sent in their voting delegates will be sending them in with the positions of the club as per each resolution. That would allow us to, first of all, save time in the voting process, because we just come and say resolution 1 is this and this and this. Let's have the voting begin. You vote resolution 2, this and this. Let's have a, and like that, and would then save on time. Now, just to give you clarity on when these would then take effect, because even if these had been voted on today, they would not take effect the next Rotary year. They would take effect the Rotary year after. So the fact that these were not shared prior, they will take effect in the Rotary year 2025, 2026, in case they are voted on. So with that, I've said a lot of things, but the bottom line is we cannot, it will not be very wise for us to allow voting delegates to give us their opinions, their personal opinions, as opposed to opinions of their clubs. Vivian, are you still there?
Yes, please. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Thank you so much, PDR Noah. Before I comment, Darius, please unmute yourself and share your comment.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I just thought I'd pick something from what dear Noah has shared. Yes, I think it would be pertinent that the clubs discuss these resolutions before they are shared. However, also have a concern how these resolutions were drafted. Maybe they could be sent back to the clubs to also write them well. Now, there is a course on my Rotary about how to write resolutions. Maybe members could take a chance and take up that course, because members should be able to at least give a background of why they are proposing such a resolution, also briefly explain its impact, and then lastly, then they can state it as a resolution that if the district assembly adopted it, it would then go into our
operating procedures. But no, I also wanted to ask, so why would we have to wait for a full Rotary year to pass before resolutions can take effect? Can't a district assembly also discuss and put a timeline to when the resolution should take effect? What if in future someone brought up a resolution that required to be acted upon with urgency? And then lastly, must we wait for when DRR Prudence will be in office, since we've gotten used to the benefits of virtual assemblies? Can't we have an extraordinary assembly to discuss these matters? But that is if they are burning matters to warrant us to have such. Must we have an assembly only once? I think that's something that I'm asking myself from what Noah submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Darius. You do indeed raise very pertinent issues. Again, we could indeed have an extraordinary assembly. It would not be the first time, because we also had an extraordinary assembly before the beginning of the Rotary year 2021-2022, given the proceedings that had happened at the final district assembly of District 9211. That was to allow us to set guiding document, basically guiding principles for our district. In as far as a resolution taking an entire cycle of the Rotary year to be adopted, is because at the time, usually when we have these assemblies, these resolutions, the time you're voting on resolutions, the incoming team has already been set in motion. That is one. And two, and this was something that was adopted from District 9211, most of the resolutions rotated around DRR nomination, which then was already too late to have it happen at the time. So to take effect at the next Rotary cycle. But this also allows for clubs to then have time within that Rotary year to then internalize the amendments to the bylaws of the district. Another example is that the other resolutions are usually rotated around dues payments, and clubs would already have had in plan the dues payment planning their budgets based on the resolutions that had been based on the bylaws that were in place. And so whenever a change was made, say to the amount of money expected in as far as dues is concerned, then you would have to be given an entire year to allow the clubs to then prepare themselves to take in the new resolution. But that was based on the guidelines that we had on resolutions. The resolutions would be given, but then again, that's something that can be changed by another resolution. So we can have a resolution that says, all right, we want to change the adoption of new bylaws in as far as resolutions are concerned. We want to have it take effect immediately. And that can then be discussed by the clubs in their club assemblies, and then an opinion be given to the voting delegates to then bring to the assembly to have that change. As far as the extraordinary assembly is concerned, that is a prerogative of the current leadership. If they indeed feel like we should have an extraordinary assembly before the Rotary year begins, if there are burning issues and they need to be discussed, and as you have clearly stated, that the resolutions have indeed been clearly written with the effect of the current bylaw, and why with the explanation of why it needs to be changed, and then the statement of change, then we can be able to have an extraordinary assembly. It's not uncommon for districts to have extraordinary assemblies, even at the beginning of even when new leadership has taken course. For example, last year, no, the year before, the year before last calendar year, when I was DRR, yes, when I was DRR, before that, the first calendar year, which is 2021, ended. We lost, as a Rotary community, we lost a DG nominee, Agri, and District 9213 had an extraordinary assembly to agree on the way forward, and they had an extraordinary vote again for the district governor nominee, hence electing DGN Kakembo that we have, who's now DGE. So it's not unusual. It is not unacceptable. It is indeed within our rights as people who are being governed to actually have that kind of provision for us. But as you rightly stated, if we indeed do have issues that are very burning and need to be discussed, we can have an extraordinary assembly, given the fact that nowadays we do not have to wait for it to be physical. We can have it at as an online engagement. Hopefully it would be well attended, given the fact that it would be an extraordinary assembly called to address burning issues. I submit, Madam District Secretary.
Thank you for so much, Noah, for your guidance. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Rotaract and current District Treasurer Darius, for your comment. Friends, we are going to write back to these clubs that sent in their resolutions and guide them on how to present them in a way that is per district standard and something professional that is easy to consume for the rest of the Rotaractors. So we shall be putting this process to a halt until further notice that will be presented. In the meantime, we are going to rewrite to the clubs and request them to redo these resolutions in a better presentation. And of course, as Darius guided, let us all make time and visit my Rotary, the Learning Center. There's a lot of material out there that we can all consume, sorry, just give me a minute. In the same regard, the earlier on-read audited books of accounts from the last Rotary year will be sent to your clubs so that you can look at them better, because sometimes I believe we digest information better when we are looking at it. That document will be circulated across the district so that you can look at it in a better way and share your comments on it. And at the district conference in Mbarara, for all those who will be available, we have scheduled, there is a scheduled activity on day 1, that is Thursday, 27th April 2023, where the district finance committee will be convening. And at that activity, those books will be rediscussed and then perhaps also adopted then. For now, I thank you all for making time to be here for today's assembly. You have been a great audience. I don't know if we have any comments or anything before we drop off, because our session has come to an end. All right. Otherwise, thank you so much for making time today. It's been lovely. And we hope as the district grows, we are able to have more Rotaractors listening into these conversations, because at the end of the day, it gives you a better understanding of what's happening at district level. Over the years around the corridors, there's been a lot of hearsay about the disconnect between the districts and the other Rotaractors. Some people assume district leaders are are not Rotaractors, or they are in a certain other categories, but I want to assure you that these are all Rotaractors. We all started by, of course, once an invitation to join a Rotaract club. And over time, people grow into leadership until they get into the helm of the leadership at the district. And of course, as the first goal of Rotaract says, to develop professional leadership skills, we all get an opportunity to lead at some point in time. As a Rotaractor, just make sure you are being strategic in the way you choose to relate and in the way you choose to understand Rotaract and what we stand for. But otherwise, there's always an opportunity for us all to share the same leadership space. President Mohammed, correction, the document is yet to be adopted. Please don't misquote me. I said the account documents of accounts are yet to be adopted, but they'll be adopted at the DISCON in Mbarara. However, in the meanwhile, in the period between now and then, I'll be sharing it to all the clubs so that you can look at it and internalize it better. Otherwise, thank you all, and have a lovely weekend and enjoy the rest of your week. Looking forward to having you all at the district conference in Mbarara. Cheers.